address questions at the end of the session, but throughout, feel free to submit them through the questions portal. There's a little question mark to the top right of your screen, and you can go ahead and submit those, and we'll try to get to those at the end. I'd like to welcome our guest speakers. We have Ken Parker with Next Thought and Andy Gibbons with the Competency Alliance. They will provide insights on the state of AI and L&D, and it'll be followed by this live demo of the HSE Leadership Coach. Next slide, Ken. Just quickly for some context, what do we do at the Competency Alliance? Our mission is to build performance-ready professionals by delivering required knowledge and skills for the energy industry. So we offer a variety of solutions here, and I'll ask if Ken can go to the next slide here. Thank you. So we offer competency management and consulting, which just means that we bring in our experts, one slide back, Ken, to align organizational and operational needs. We can identify gaps and work with them to build a framework. We have a spectrum of training and development solutions in a variety of formats, whether it be in-person classroom training, virtual, on-demand e-learning. We even have some blended options. So we offer our industry-vetted curriculum in a format that best suits your learners. We also have software solutions to help not only the competency management framework, but also offer learning management, compliance management, and content development solutions. So we have quite a comprehensive set of tools to support the energy workforce. Next slide, Ken. The Competency Alliance was formed about 20 years ago as Petra Skills. And so by bringing together member companies to help tackle industry challenges and develop critical skills. Traditionally, we were rooted in the upstream segment and expanded further downstream into refining and petrochemicals. And then in 2023, we started our energy transition journey and initiated our net zero and renewable divisions, where we identified transferable skills and new skills, and then the corresponding training programs for these areas, effectively replicating the Alliance model into these other energy sectors that you see here. Our Alliance model not only helps shape the needed skills of the future, but it also allows us collaboration on how technology can enable learning and development. So this leaves me to hand it off to you, Ken and Andy, who will provide an introduction.
Great, thanks, Shu. Good morning and afternoon, everyone. Excited to talk with you today about one of the many ways that AI can be used to support coaching of all types. We're going to focus on HSE today, and in that regard, we're very fortunate to have a global expert on HSE training, Andy Gibbons. And so, Andy, I'll let you start off with your introduction.
Okay, thank you, Ken. I'm sitting in Dubai today, so some of these slides are taking slightly longer to get to me. So I'm Andy Gibbons. I'm a consultant and trainer. I'm a chemical engineer by original background, and I'm in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I've worked in oil, gas, and petrochemicals for many years with companies such as Shell, Nova Chemicals, and Total. But for a number of years now, I've been a training instructor specializing in oil, gas, and petrochemicals, and with Petra Skills for some 8 years now. I'm a relative newcomer when it comes to AI, but I find it increasingly valuable, and I found the journey in terms of developing and using this tool fascinating. So we'll certainly share more as we get into that. Ken, back to you.
All right, quick background. I'm a software engineer by training, worked in aerospace for 10 years, then left aerospace and joined JP Morgan at their Wall Street headquarters, in both cases working on software. Then I helped launch a startup, Risk Metrics Group, we spun off from JP Morgan and Reuters, IPO'd on the New York Stock Exchange, and then had a big exit. There was our IPO day on the New York Stock Exchange. And then 14 years ago, a friend and I, when we sold Risk Metrics, we launched an education tech company called Next Thought. And that kind of brings us to today. And I can say, as someone that is very interested and focused on using technology for more effective learning, there's nothing like AI in history to really impact meaningfully how we educate people. So I'd like to start with a poll as well, just to get your sense of AI and how it's going to affect the world. All right, hopefully you can see that. So what's your thoughts on AI? Good. We've got some skeptics. I love that. I think we have to be cautious with any big new technology. There's a few enthusiasts with me down in the 5 category, but at least no one's calling a total overblown fad. I'll go ahead and share the poll so you get a quick glimpse of it. But then I want to think about AI in particular and how it affects human education, or how you think it will affect human education. So let's once more, what's your thoughts on how it's going to transform human education? I kind of already tipped my hand on that one in terms of how I think it is unprecedented in terms of what it offers. But again, God bless the skeptics. I think we need to be very thoughtful and careful about how we apply this technology. So let me share the results quickly, give you a sense of what others are thinking, and then let's get back into it. It's worth noticing. So this beautiful AI woman, let's have a look at her again. I asked for a contemplative, middle-aged, beautiful woman that's pondering a hard question. And so she's stunning. Look at her right hand. Looks like her thumb is emerging the wrong side of her hand. And here she seems to have 6 fingers. So again, to the point, AI needs to be monitored pretty carefully. So let's talk about the agenda that we want to cover today on how can we accelerate performance through AI-enabled coaching tools. 3 points for you. The first one is AI is a golden key to the future. A golden key is something that we often see in different cultures, histories, where it unlocks something of great value, but it can also unlock enormous peril or risk. So let's think about why we might make that claim that it is really a golden key to our future. Second, we're going to look at it from educational perspective. What are some of the challenges that we face in education, particularly in L&D, in the corporate world? But what are some of the tech transformation opportunities? And then Andy's going to dig in detail and show you some of the ways in which AI is actually here. So let's jump into it. So first, I want to start with a thought. and that is just thinking about the history of human innovation. I'll give a spoiler on that, and that is the most productive and adaptable wins. Whether you're talking about an individual, a tribe, a nation, a company, the most productive and adaptable is going to be the one that wins. And so uh, here's a visceral, tangible example of how technology changes and it magnifies the efforts of one individual. So here's one guy. He's using a piece of advanced technology. If you ask people in the Stone Age, a shovel was a great innovation. But look at what one person can do if they have a different piece of technology. Now, it costs a lot more. It's a lot more complex. It takes a lot more skill to run. But that human can dig 1,000 times faster, at least, compared to the guy with the old technology. And so that's one of the setting the stage. AI is the latest extending, magnifying technology, but the history of technology is very, very consistent. So we're making the claim AI is a golden key that unlocks great potential, great risk. One of my favorite books in this regard was Mustafa Suleiman. He was one of the founders of DeepMind. It's a great book, and one of the things that he talks about is why AI is different, why it's a big deal. And one reason is that it's omni-use. It can touch so many different areas. And these are just a few, but it shows how AI is fundamentally changing the pace, the speed, the potential of many different industries, many different professions, in many areas of our lives, whether it's health related in figuring out protein folding that will help with drug discovery, cures, all sorts of things. Proteins are the basic building blocks of life. Cancer detection, robotics, agentic AI. You're hearing a lot about this now as AI shifts from a one-shot question and answer or a question thread to more of an independent agent where it can go off and do stuff for you. And so we're just seeing the dawn of that. And then a lot of other skills as well. One of the big companies that serves, they do human resources information systems. They have over 10,000 companies all around the world. And they're they're saying these are 5 industries that we're seeing big impact already. But this was I thought, one of the most interesting stats. 98% of the CEOs believe there's an immediate AI benefit, and 75% have already benefited in some way from using AI. And so it's something that is very quickly uh, impacting very wide range of industries. So very much omni-use. The next concept we'll drill down into a little deeper, and that is it has an asymmetric impact. You add a little bit of AI, and it can have a magnified impact. It can replace the efforts of many people. Programming, which is my background, software technology, we always thought that would be one of the last human bastions of human skill. And yet, you're already seeing some of the giants, the tech giants. Meta is going to let job candidates use AI during testing. This came out in June. It's now reported that Google, over a quarter of their code is written by AI. And so these are firms that have the best of the best software developers, but like the excavator driver, they are magnifying their skills with better tech. Another way that you see an asymmetric impact is customer service. Uh, One AI can support many languages, um, and we're already seeing this deployed in some of the big tech firms. We're seeing it in banks. Even some of they're always very cautious and careful, slow to adapt. But even they are starting to use AI as part of their customer facing service. Medical and healthcare. This is interesting in terms of the diagnostic potential. That's one of the most important things, that when we're sick, we want to be diagnosed correctly and quickly. And Microsoft is now showing that 4 times higher accuracy than human doctors with its new AI system. Uh, Nature just published that when you're interacting with an AI consultant for a physician, it's actually viewed as more compassionate than human experts. Because guess what? It's not rushed. It can look into your background. It's focused 100% on you. It doesn't have 3 other patients waiting in other rooms, and it's not in a rush to get to the next person. And so the skill and the interactions are making it such that that's another area that's going to be disrupted. The third reason that we would say AI is a golden key to the future is how rapidly it's changing. You've all seen these graphs that show how here's human performance, and we're now seeing better than human performance for these more advanced models. And this is now a few months old. So again, the the extraordinary beyond human performance, we're already starting to see that. Another thing is how quickly some of these skills are developing. Within a matter of a few years, we're exceeding human performance on all of these tasks with AI. But as we've seen, it's not perfect. There's not deep understanding. There are still weaknesses. We'll get to that in a moment. But again, there's the human baseline. Another way that it's rapidly changing is how quickly this has crashed into our existence in such a short amount of time. So ChatGPT now has some 800 million users monthly, but this shows how long it took to reach 100 million from zero. And it blew everything else away in terms of speed. The other thing that I would invite you to consider is one of these applications makes you more productive, lets you do more, and how many of the rest of them are time wasters that just consume your attention. So, largest change in history in terms of market loss. Do you remember earlier this year, the biggest loss in history? NVIDIA lost 600 billion of value. And you remember why? It was because DeepSeek announced that they had a more efficient approach and we wouldn't need as many AI chips. Well, don't worry about NVIDIA. Jensen, they recovered nicely just a few weeks later, but it's showing how impactfully this is being regarded by investors. Andy and I did a presentation in Bahrain a couple of months ago, and there had just been a big investment forum, but it turned into the US political leadership and tech leadership showed up in force because the Middle East is embracing this technology. There were large deals signed across a number of areas. Again, NVIDIA, there's Jensen Huang, Sam Altman of OpenAI. Um, there's big data center investments being made. And then I love this title: The Middle East has entered the AI group chat. Um, so again, it's a global phenomenon. And then something that is a step toward artificial general intelligence, kind of an overused, overhyped term, but it basically means that when AI can learn and improve at machine speed, instead of being limited by human training data, that's when incredible progress uh, will accelerate. And we're just now seeing early signs of this with some of the models. And then I love this quote. I just saw it last week. This guy's he's written a number of books about technology in the legal profession, but I think this statement is profoundly true. And it's part of what makes AI so inevitable. Yes, it's got issues, weaknesses, but it's inevitable because the market will show no loyalty to inferior solutions. And so the person driving the excavator is going to outcompete, outperform the person that's working with the shovel. So the last point of why Suleiman says AI is a big deal, why it's a golden key, is increasingly it's autonomous. Humans aren't required in this with this technology. Increasingly, we're seeing more autonomous vehicles, autonomous robots, drones, smart grids, and then, as we said, agents that are going to do increasingly complex tasks on our behalf as our agents. So that's the claim. It's a golden key to our future, unlocking enormous treasure and riches and potential, but also great risk. So, topic number 2, education. What are some of the challenges in the tech transformation around that? So, first, I'd love to reflect on what are some timeless truths about how humans learn best. Uh, all the way 2,400 years ago, Socrates was showing that active engagement and questioning, where you're getting the student to engage and think through challenges, not just passively uh, see information or hear information, but actively engage, hands on, like our image shows here, where you have um, real world hands on activities. We've seen those as apprenticeships, mentoring, coaching. We know that's a powerful way humans learn, personalized. We don't learn well as a big group with a factory assembly line model where one size fits all. We learn best when it's personalized. What are my motivations, my objectives, and letting me practice and get feedback personally. And then social interaction is another good way humans learn. We use it again for motivation and these other positive things. And so as an education technology person, I've got to ask the self-critical question of how well does online learning typically perform on these things? And I think you'd agree that the conventional way we've used learning technology is it doesn't perform very well. So uh, we believe AI can offer better education at scale. Uh, we're seeing this. IBM's released a number of things in this regard. We're seeing more and more intelligent tutoring systems, but it's personalized. AI can help generate the content, languages, So we don't have to develop every single language. AI can help us do that once we've created the base content. And then as we're developing mastery in a topic, how can we automate the assessment and feedback where it's still high quality, but it's focused on you? And then the cost is remarkably low. So that's kind of a quick stroll through the AI revolution that's underway and education in particular. But now let me turn it over to Andy to talk about the fact that it's actually here and can be put to work.
Okay, thank you, Ken. So we know the learning loop. If we want to really improve at anything that we do, we first of all need to gain the knowledge. What is it that we need to know? Then we want to practice putting into application that knowledge. We get feedback, we reflect on that, and we look to further improve. And this is a classic process that we go through. And this is how we design training courses, e-learning programs, etc. But the challenges, as Ken mentioned, is that with conventional digital learning, it's not easy to have that practice, and it's not easy to get the feedback because it tends to be relatively one-dimensional apart from maybe taking a knowledge test. So this is something where we can really use the benefit of AI to really enhance the learning loop, accelerate the process, and get better results. Next one, please, Ken. So we're going to go into a demo now of an AI coach. And we've taken the topic of HSE culture because to so many organizations, HSE performance is critically important. And a good HSE culture underpins all of that. So the system is giving me a briefing here. I'm going to take the role of a team leader, and I have to give a safety culture briefing to a team of staff. And the tool will take me through, give me some details of what HSE culture is all about so I can absorb this. And then I have to deliver a motivational team message to say what HSE culture means and how to support it. And what's going to happen is the AI is going to grade this. So it's going to look at what I've said in terms of the clarity and conciseness, how well I've applied the HSE principles, and how engaging and motivating I am as a presenter. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to have a first attempt at this, and I'm going to try and give a bad version so that we can see a negative, a poor presentation. So I'm the speaker, and I'm going to try and give an HSE culture briefing in clear terms, what HSE culture looks like, how it benefits us. So let's go. Okay, so I'm here today to talk about HSE culture because this is what leadership wants us to talk about this week, another initiative. So HSE culture is very important. We've all got to work safely, so please do everything you can. Thanks very much. Now, I think that wasn't very good, and the AI is going to transcribe that, and it's going to analyze it, and it's going to give me feedback. So there's my transcription. Yeah, that pretty much is what I say. I'm submitting that. It's doing its magic behind the scenes. It's working on the information that I've given. And I hope this will be a pretty poor score. Yeah, you can see that I've got 2 out of 9, which I think is particularly generous. So I haven't given good clarity. I haven't adequately explained what it entails and why good HSE culture is important. I haven't shown any kind of understanding of HSE principles, and my engagement, I am being dismissive and lacking motivation, and starting with, okay, so I'm here today, is really not going to lift anyone. So it's giving me feedback, it's giving me a summary, and I can absorb all of that, and I can try again. So good morning, everyone. We're here today to talk about HSE culture. And I think HSE culture is something that is really valuable and it's very important to all of us. We all want to go home safely. We want our friends, we want our colleagues to go home safely. So we know that safe working is something that we want. So what is HSE culture? It's really that combination of group values. It's that combination of group behaviors that demonstrate how HSE is managed. If you like, it's how the organization behaves when no one is watching. So, I can recall some cases in the past where we'd only put our PPE on if a manager was approaching. And that clearly shows that we hadn't got a strong embedded HSE culture. So I have some expectations that I want to share. First of all, we've got rules, we've got procedures, we've got regulations. We know they're not perfect, but it's our start point. And I ask everyone, please follow those. And if we find that we've got issues, then report those, challenge those, and we'll see what we can do to improve those. Wear PPE. Encourage others to work safely as well. And if they've got issues, if you see something you don't like, challenge people. Stop them, have a discussion. Don't threaten them, but have a good discussion about what we can do to improve. And if we all work in this way and we're really focused on driving effective health and safety, then we will get good performance. That good performance will reflect on our business performance. So it will impact the bottom line. But most importantly, as we say, we go home safely, we go home in the same condition that we come into work, and we protect ourselves, we protect our families. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate it. So hopefully that's a little bit better. And again, it's going to transcribe. Clearly, it'll take a little bit longer because I was talking quite a bit there. It's doing the transcription. And then once we've got that, we're going to submit it. So I can read that through. Yeah, that pretty much covers everything I've said. We're going to submit. And again, it's working its magic behind the scenes. And it's going to give me the feedback. So I'm better. Still got further to go. I got 7 out of 9. So it's giving me feedback on clarity and conciseness. Yeah, I've been waffling a little bit too much. I could be more succinct. Repeating things like go home safely. It's going to sound like a bit of a mantra. It's saying what I've done in terms of applying HSE culture principles, and there I've been good. And in terms of engagement and motivation, pretty good. My tone was positive. It captured the personal and business benefits of a strong HSE culture, but I could use more inclusive language and foster a more united front. So still, despite having a better performance, I could go even further. So I could practice again and see what I can do to get to 9 out of 9. And then I'm ready. Then I'm able to deliver this toolbox talk to an organization, to a group. But we know that if we make a presentation, it's a two-way street. We're always going to get feedback. So here, the tool is going to show us what happens when we get some pushback. Because there'll always be someone who says, oh, well, you don't do that, or you never spend the money, or you don't follow through in practice. So this is our chance to be able to test ourselves in terms of how we deal with negative feedback. And it's going to score me on empathy and validation, effective redirection, and the third point. So here I'm getting some pushback.
Look, I appreciate the message, but we've heard this kind of thing before. The reality is, when it comes to safety improvements that cost money, they often don't happen. We get told it's important, but then nothing changes. It feels like leadership just says the right things without backing it up. Honestly, it's hard to take it seriously.
So thanks, Pete. It's something you've raised so many times, and I can say we really are committed. We're going to make a difference this time. So don't worry, everything's going to be fine. And hopefully that's not going to be too good. Again, it's transcribing. Clearly, nobody would give an example that bad, but we've transcribed it, we're sending it to the AI, and it's going to tell me how bad I am. Yeah, my empathy and validation is 1, my effective redirection 1, and my reinforcing action and accountability is also a 1. So I think very generous to say not quite. So I started off positively by recognizing Pete's consistent concern, although I was a little bit cynical. So let's try and do it better this time. Okay, so thank you, Pete. I really appreciate you coming forward and sharing this concern. It's very important that we share. It's very important that we understand what are the real issues that could affect us in terms of achieving a positive HSE culture. And speaking up is very much one of those. I know that we've had issues in the past. I know that we haven't been perfect. In some cases, we've talked about HSE improvements, but we haven't followed through with the investment. But we're really committed this time to make a difference. But I want to personalize that. Let's go out and have a look at some of the examples of the issues that we face and some of the things that we need to do. And let's develop a plan jointly for how we can make those improvements, how we can follow through on those improvements. And I commit to you that I will take those back to senior leadership. I'll make sure we secure the support, we should secure the funding, and we achieve a positive result. And then we can talk about it again and say, this is an example of something that we've done. This is really reinforcing that we are committed to strong HSE culture. So again, Pete, thank you. Really appreciate you speaking up. Okay, so transcribing again. I hope that's a little bit better. Clearly, this is a situation we all often face with these kind of meetings. We get some people who are very, very obstructive. We get some people who are more supportive. And I think the pushback that we had in this particular case was kind of, oh, wow, okay, so I've nailed this one. So I've got 9 out of 9. I've been empathetic, I've been validating, I've been good at redirection, so reframing the issue to make it into an opportunity, and I've got a good score for the reinforcing action and the accountability. So I've shown the commitment to doing this. Now, clearly, everyone who would go through this would have a different start point. It might take 2 or 3 steps to get to a very good result. But what you can see is that for the particular topic, 3, 4, 5 iterations, you can go from relatively weak to high performance in a short space of time. And imagine the impact of that when we're getting people to do toolbox talks in an organization. So that was the demo. And I think you can see we've really gone through the learning loop in there, from the knowledge to the practice, etc. So what we're doing at the moment with this is we are developing a digital AI coaching HSE culture series, with the idea being that we have a number of modules which, if all done well, will deliver us a very positive HSE culture. And the idea is that these are typically 30 to 60 minutes, so not too long, like a typical coaching session. And for each of these different scenarios, we've got a particular learning outcome. So I'll take one, for example, which is challenging unsafe behaviors respectfully, something we can all face in the workplace. And the learning outcome is to practice techniques for giving constructive peer-to-peer safety conversations. So when someone's not working safely, it's not a case of, oh, you, stop that, you're making a fool of us all, but having a much more positive conversation. So this is the series that we will be introducing. And I think if we're able to effectively do all of this, we can take HSE culture from where we are now to a significantly higher level. Thanks, Ken. And of course, yes, one of the benefits of AI is this can be multi-language. So it could be in English, it could be in Arabic, it could be in Malayalam, whatever we need to use. And you think there about the ability to coach people, say, prior to doing a task, then in some regions we have multilingual staff. So it can be very beneficial to have the multi-language capability.
متعدد اللغات.
Which of course
Okay.
is multi-language in Arabic.
Very good. Well, thank you, Andy and Ken, for that great session. The flyer that Andy just showed is available under the materials section that you can see on the upper right corner as well. So just want to reference that. Ken, did you have some parting thoughts?
Yes, had a few more thoughts, and then we want to try to leave some time for questions as well. So one of the thoughts is it's attributed to Darwin a couple of hundred years ago, but it's incredibly relevant today. And that is, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It's the one most adaptable to change. And we're about to see one of the most disruptive changes in human history. One of my favorite authors on thinking about how should we interact with AI is actually, he's a Wharton professor, but he wrote this recent book, and he says four things. Invite AI to the table, meaning just get involved with it, start learning about it, using it, so that you can see where it can help, but also where it's a potential issue. Second, be the driver of the excavator. He calls it be the human in the loop, so that you're the one that is driving the AI as opposed to the reverse. And then one of his thoughts is interesting, and that is think of AI as a person, not as in it's another human, but give it a job or a role, tell it who it is, and then expect it to be unpredictable in some ways, again, in the same way that humans are. And then lastly, as we've seen, expect that it's going to improve and improve rapidly. So one of the classic quotes I've heard on that is AI is as bad as it's ever going to be right now. So plan for that and have that as part of your personal growth plan, but also for your organization. And then this is one of my favorite, and hopefully you'll be able to see the video and hear, more importantly, hear the audio. This is now over 2 years old when this professor shared this quote at the World Economic Forum. But he starts off with the reassuring statement, hey, AI won't take your job.
AI is essentially wisdom in a can. And so it's giving more power to all workers, but especially those average workers. So if you take an AI, for instance, and give it medical AI and give it to a nurse, he or she is much more capable than they were before, the doctor too, a little bit. So I think this AI will be uplifting to the middle class because it's in essence the most expensive, most talented workers are people who have 20 years experience and know how to apply that. That's what AI does overnight. So I think it will be uplifting for the middle class. That's my, but it will be extremely disruptive in the sense that every job will change. There'll be automation of certain things and everybody will learn how to deal with it. Or what I say on Twitter all the time is AI won't take your job. It's somebody using AI that'll take your job.
So again, AI won't take your job, but someone using AI. So the person that is driving the excavator is going to take the job of the guy that's just using a shovel still. So those are many of the optimistic thoughts, but in terms of the cautious thoughts. So here's an AI generated image. I wanted to show a master apprentice relationship. And so AI created this for me. And it's just a stunningly beautiful image. I asked for photorealistic, but when you step in to analyze it, there's just some nonsense. Like, what kind of creature is this student creating, and using a chopstick of all things. And then the master seems distracted over here working with clumps of clay. So on the one hand, it's beautiful. On the other hand, there's no real depth there at all. And again, I'm drawn to timeless wisdom that we can draw from even today. So 2,400 years ago, Plato, in his Phaedrus dialogue, uh, told this story. There was Thuth, the god, that had this technology that said, hey, this will make the Egyptians wiser and give them better memories. And it's both for the memory and the wit. And the critic was King Thamus. And he said, hey, that technology will create forgetfulness in the learner's souls because they won't use their memories. They'll be hearers of many things, but they won't have learned anything. And then my favorite quote was, having the appearance of wisdom without the reality. Well, I think you could easily apply that dialogue to AI, but you know what technology they were talking about that Plato was arguing against or signaling caution? It was the spoken word, or sorry, the written word, letters, it was called. And so, again, I think the same, and yet, how would humanity have been impacted if we had not adopted written language as a tool? And yet, if it's used poorly, it can have all of those negative consequences. And so, my favorite summary of this caution is from Charles Eames. He's a designer, philosopher, and 50 years ago, he gave the 3-word admonition, never delegate understanding. And so I think that's one of our great challenges now as we adopt these new tools, as we apply them to learning and teaching our teammates, our employees. This is one of the great cautions that we need to keep front of mind so that we use it well. So just to quickly summarize what we've said today, AI is a golden key for those 4 reasons. It can unlock the future potential or great risk and harm. And hopefully you agree that AI technology can transform your learning today, and it's only going to get better. And finally, let's go, but go carefully. So let's pause there and with our remaining time, see if any questions that we can address.
Yes, I have one, Ken and Andy, through the portal. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We have, can the demo feedback examples just be a thoughtful use of ChatGPT prior to the HSE CEO presentation? Can the demo feedback examples just be a thoughtful use of ChatGPT prior to the HSE CEO presentation? So perhaps, yes, I believe what they're saying is before the actual delivery needs to take place, that this would be a great opportunity to leverage the tool, the demo being shown. Would you agree with that, Ken?
Yeah, I'm still working on grasping the question.
And Dr. Lawrence Salvoni, we can enable your mic if you want to elaborate on that a bit.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, team. Sorry, good morning, some of you. I've impressed with the demo, which Andy, who I've known for many years now, with his knowledge, and going through that phase where you're putting in the information and letting the AI then mark you and give you a better alternative to get the message across. Is that a simple use of prior to standing up in front of the C-suite and the people you want to organize change? Is it not just using ChatGPT, the AI platform where you can put these questions in and then get your speech out of the system before standing up to do the presentations? Andy, over to you, please.
I think, Lawrence, that there's a couple of points for me there. One is that ChatGPT will always respond to the prompts that people give it. So different people will have different prompts and will get different answers. So you won't necessarily get consistency of message across the whole organization. And the other thing, if you just, we can get ChatGPT to generate a talk for us. But if we end up reading it out robotically, you're not going to have the engagement, you're not going to have the motivation, you're not going to have the answers to questions. So what we're doing here is we're really taking people round the learning loop in a structured way to make sure that when they do stand up, they've got that confidence, they've got that integrity, they've got that ability so that they can give something very coherent and natural as well, which is what you may lack if you go through the approach that you mentioned. I understand exactly what you're saying. I personally use ChatGPT a lot, but I think it's a case of the consistency and the genuine approach in terms of the delivery that's going to be different with this tool.
I think
Excellent.
that's right. Sorry, I didn't grasp your question earlier, Dr. Salvani. But the short answer is, could you use ChatGPT as a learning training partner? Absolutely. But what this framework offers is a well-defined set of learning objectives and outcomes. I want people to know these things. I want the practice to include these elements, and then I'm going to use this rubric in order to measure it. And I want to ensure a consistency of training and experience that's 100% aligned with the company, and I want that to be tested ahead of time. And so those are the things that putting it in a framework like this offers, as opposed to everyone just go do their own. And there's, of course, many different paths toward that. But your question is a good one in terms of what is the difference here, and what might people do before or after on their own. But it's that consistency of structure and approach and rubric that we think makes it valuable. And then it's woven into the rest of your learning experience. It's not just a one-off.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Bit of clarity there. Thanks, team. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We've got another question from Philippe Rodriguez. Philippe, I think we have enabled all the mics, so if you'd like to ask your question. All right, if not, I'm going to go ahead and read it real quick. And Andy, I don't know if y'all can read it. So there is a latent demand for AI solutions within the field of human factors, specifically related to human reliability engineering. Is there a possibility that we could explore your solution to address this issue?
Absolutely, yes. It's a subject area where we would very much like to develop a series of modules. It's actually one of the ones that's on our list, and it's one where the use of AI would be, I think, perfect to generate good solutions. Ken, something to add?
Yeah, I think we are just at the early stages of exploring how this powerful capability lets someone practice a complex, demanding task, and then evaluate it, give them feedback and suggestions. Again, that's what a great coach does. Uh, and so one of the things that's been exciting about this, we've applied this AI coach technology to many different industries. Uh, our largest client, Amazon, was one that inspired early examples. How do you train a driver to deal with angry customers? We've looked in other areas as well. One exciting example is confronting someone with a number of demands or priorities on their time and ask them to prioritize them according to what your company policy, best practices, whatever dictates the priority. Let the person prioritize it, and normally with multiple choice, that's where the exercise ends. With our AI solution, one of the things that we do is let people, is ask them to explain their priority. And so they have to get the right answer, but they have to do it for the right reason. And then the third piece, you have to explain your decision to the stakeholders so that you're encouraging this whole sequence of complex behaviors that you want all of your people to know. How do we prioritize, and why? And then how do we communicate it so that we're letting our organization, our customers know? And so applying those sorts of powerful skills to reliability engineering, as Andy said, that's one that we're looking at as an exciting opportunity. So it's one we'd love to learn more from you on what you have in mind and talk about some of the early things we're thinking. But great question.
I've got another question from Leslie Spurl. Leslie, if you're still on, we'd love for you to speak and provide some context around the question. All right. Well, Ken, if you see the question, yeah, maybe you can address it. So AI, AI is a program that is carefully designed to identify keywords in a classroom setting. And if a person hits those keywords, then the AI program will give you a thumbs up. We give out classroom assessment forms in order to gain feedback from our students and what they would like to see done better. So the question is, how is AI an improvement over this, and how can AI measure the competency of an instructor?
Okay, thank you for the question. I guess my first observation would be that the premise in the first sentence, I don't agree with that because it goes well beyond just identifying keywords. You can have it identify themes, like when Andy was giving his low quality examples, it pointed out that he was not sharing an inspiring, a motivating, an authentic approach. That was not in any way looking for specific keywords. It was looking for concepts to be covered. And that's part of what makes that elevates the capability of the current, even the current generation of AI tools. That's what elevates their capabilities far beyond just simply looking for keywords. So when you give out a classroom assessment form to get feedback, yes, they can share their thoughts. A well-crafted feedback form is extremely insightful and informational. But what if you can change the assessment to drill down on why people reacted in a certain way? But to go on, your last question, how can AI measure the competency of an instructor? Again, you can point it toward, as long as you have um, the the knowledge, the skills that you can test for and evaluate, then absolutely the AI can quiz the instructor. It can review and analyze transcript of an instructor's talk. And so you're thinking exactly correctly, and also skeptically, which is so important right now. How can we improve on what we have today, but ensure that it's achieving our end objectives?
Andy, I have a question for you here. Oh, sorry, Andy. Were you going to add to that?
I was just going to add, really building on what Ken says, that the AI can potentially analyze the content mastery and the accuracy. It can look at the quality of the engagement. It can assess whether the instructor, whether the teacher has used psychological safety to make it safe for people to give feedback. So there are many dimensions that can be brought well above just identifying the keywords.
Andy, I'm going to send you this question here. So, what's the alternative to using a tool like this? Without AI, how could we accomplish similar outcomes? And maybe your thoughts on how AI might be better or worse than the alternative.
So traditionally with this, you would get people in a room. So you would get a group of leaders in a room, and you would share the key messages and expect everyone to be able to cascade that knowledge through the organization. And that might be multiple steps, that you're going from executives to senior leadership to leaders to supervisors. And the message can quite often be changed, diluted, influenced by certain factors, and it ends up being inconsistent, and it also takes an awful lot of time. Whereas with this, everyone is using the same structure, the same kind of process, and you can really scale this out in super quick time. So it's less time consuming, it's more consistent, and it's far more scalable.
And it's accessible 24/7 in all the different languages. So once you develop, one of the real powerful aspects of building out one of these coaching modules is you know what you're teaching. And we talked about multilingual. You're teaching the same concepts and you're evaluating the same sorts of performance, but you can do it in any language, and you get that with very minimal additional effort. So how could we accomplish the same outcomes without AI? You can give everybody a great human coach, and Andy Gibbons, that can work with you individually, but Andy's expensive and he's also not very scalable. So
And I've got a
that's
terrible
why the
accent as well.
technology. But what we've done is we're encapsulating, it's Andy's wisdom, Andy's domain knowledge. That's what we're capturing in the AI. And so back to the earlier question of why not just use ChatGPT? Well, you can, but you don't have Andy or Andy's subject matter expert equivalent. You don't have that guiding the overall learning experience. And so it's scaling up your coach. This is a perfect question for why is this so exciting to me? Because we've never had anything like this that is this scalable and this accessible, and yet for uh, such a low barrier to entry.
Great. Well, that concludes all of our questions and takes us up to the full hour. Thank you, Ken and Andy, for your time today, and those that joined us. You will be able to receive a recording of the session. If you have any colleagues that weren't able to make it today, that can be shared with them as well. If you have any follow-up questions for us, you can feel free to reach out to myself, Ken, or Andy. I have my email here, and I will put y'all in contact with Ken and Andy. And again, the HSE Culture Series flyer is available for you to download in the materials section. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude the webinar. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, team. Very well done.